Your child is crying at the school gate. Again. You've told them 100 times you'll be back. They know you'll be back. And still, the clinging, the tears, the full-body panic that makes a 5-minute goodbye feel like abandonment. Today I'm going to show you exactly why reassurance doesn't work on an anxious child, and more importantly, the simple daily habits that actually do. Because here is what most parents don't realize. The clinginess, the meltdowns, the constant need for reassurance, none of it is manipulation. None of it is a personality flaw. It is your child's nervous system doing exactly what it learned to do. And the learning started earlier than you think in moments so ordinary you would never have flagged them as important. Let's talk about what those moments are. Every child is born with one biological need above all others, to know that the person they depend on is reliably available. John Bowlby, the British psychologist who founded attachment theory in the 1950s, called this the secure base, the fixed point from which a child can safely explore the world, knowing that when things get hard, there is somewhere to return. When that base feels solid, the child can explore. They can tolerate your absence. They can handle challenge, because their nervous system carries one quiet certainty. When I need you, you will come. But when that certainty is missing, when sometimes you come quickly and warmly, and sometimes you are distracted, or overwhelmed, or emotionally somewhere else, the child's nervous system does something very specific. It never fully relaxes. It keeps one eye on you at all times, monitoring your mood, your proximity, your availability, because experience has taught it that if attention slips, comfort may not arrive. Researchers call this hyperactivation. The child clings tighter, cries longer, protests harder, not because they are weak, but because this strategy, at least sometimes, keeps you close. The cost? Everything else. Exploration, play, confidence. The growing sense of self that only develops when a child feels safe enough to turn away from the caregiver and toward the world. Now, let's talk about exactly how that uncertainty gets built and what you can do about each one. Pattern 1. The inconsistent response. Here is the pattern at the core of anxious attachment. And I want to name it carefully because it does not look like neglect. It does not look like bad parenting. It looks like a Tuesday. Your child reaches for you upset, scared, wanting connection, and sometimes you respond fully, warmly. You are really there. And other times, because you are overwhelmed, because your own anxiety is high, because it is the 15th time they have called your name in the last hour, your response is different, delayed, distracted, physically present but emotionally somewhere else. Over time, Bowlby's 1,973 research showed that children develop deep expectations about whether their caregiver will actually show up. Not whether they love them, whether they will show up. And when that answer is sometimes yes and sometimes no, the nervous system cannot settle. It stays alert. It keeps scanning. The child who experienced consistent warmth learns, I can explore. Help will be there. The child who experienced intermittent warmth learns, I cannot predict, so I cannot stop watching. What to do instead? Work toward consistency above everything else. Not perfection, consistency. When your child reaches, return the reach. Even briefly, even imperfectly. I hear you give me 2 minutes, followed by actually coming back in 2 minutes. Not 10. 2. What the nervous system is building is not a picture of your mood, it is a picture of your pattern, and a pattern of reliable returning is the foundation everything else stands on. But here's where it gets complicated because one of the biggest drivers of anxious attachment looks, on the outside, exactly like exceptional parenting. Pattern 2. The overprotective reach. This one comes from love. I am completely sure of that, and it still does damage. You worry about your child. When they struggle, everything in you wants to move in, fix it, shield them, catch them before they fall. So you hover. You intervene before they even ask. You steer them quietly away from situations where they might fail, feel scared, or be overwhelmed. And your child stays close to you, relies on you. In those moments, that feels like exactly what connection is supposed to look like. But here is what is happening underneath. A 2003 study on maternal anxiety and overprotective parenting found that anxious parents often hover not because the situation is dangerous, but because their own nervous system is scanning the environment for threats and finding them where none exist. The parent's anxiety becomes a signal, and the child, who watches everything, absorbs it. When a caregiver consistently intervenes before a child has a chance to struggle, the child learns 2 things simultaneously. 1. The world requires adult management to be safe. 2. I am not capable of managing it myself. And so instead of turning toward the world, the child turns back toward the parent. Closeness feels safer than independence. Exploration feels like risk. What to do instead? Practice the deliberate act of staying back. When your child tries something new, resist the urge to move in before they have even asked for help. Let them sit with the mild discomfort of a challenge. And when they look at you, which they will let your face say something specific, I see you. I believe you can do this. That expression is not passive. It is active communication from your nervous system to theirs. The world is manageable. You are capable. And when they get through it, when they handle the hard thing without your intervention, notice how you celebrate it. Not, see? You didn't even need me. But you worked through something hard. I was right here watching. I'm so proud of you. You are not teaching them they don't need you. You are teaching them they are capable and you are still there. Those two things need to coexist. Pattern 3, the reassurance that never sticks. Now, here is the one that surprises every parent. You have been giving reassurance, a lot of it, and it is not working. And most parents assume the problem is that they have not given enough of it. But the real problem? Reassurance is talking to the wrong part of your child's brain entirely. Here's what I mean. When you say, I will come back, I promise, your child's cortex hears that. The thinking brain, the part that processes language and logic, and it believes you for about 30 seconds. But anxiety does not live in the thinking brain. It lives in the nervous system, in the body, in a part of the brain that is older, faster, and completely unmoved by words. That part of the brain does not update based on what it is told. It updates based on what it has experienced consistently over hundreds of repeated interactions. So when your anxious child asks, but will you really come back? Their cortex takes your answer and believes it, but their nervous system is running a different calculation, based on everything it has learned about reliability. And the nervous system's answer, quieter, more powerful, says, sometimes I'm not sure. What to do instead? Stop trying to reassure the thinking brain. Start training the nervous system. The nervous system is not persuaded by promises. It is persuaded by evidence. So instead of better words, give more reliable experience. When you say you will be back at 3 o'clock, be back at 3 o'clock, every single time. When you return after any absence, however, make the reunion real. Put the phone down. Get to their level. Make eye contact. Let your return feel like an event worth waiting for. Because you are not just coming home, you are adding one more data point to the data set their nervous system is building. You are making the answer to, will they come back, more and more reliably. Yes. Always. Do this enough times and something shifts. The question gets asked less. Not because you convince them, because the body already knows the answer. Pattern 4. The emotional flooding that goes unwitnessed. Anxiously attached children feel everything intensely. Small disappointments spiral fast. Transitions that seem minor to adults can trigger distress that looks wildly out of proportion. And parents understandably try to contain it. Calm it down. Redirect it. Get their child back to regulate it as quickly as possible. But every time you rush to end the feeling before it has been witnessed, your child absorbs a message they will carry into every relationship they ever have. My emotions are too much. The person I love is most focused on making me feel less. Mary Ainsworth's original strange situation research in the 1970s showed that anxiously attached infants did something consistent after separation. When the parent returned, they didn't calm easily. They cried longer, resisted comfort, and showed both anger and need at the same time. The technical term is ambivalent, wanting closeness and pushing it away simultaneously. That ambivalence is not random. It is learned. It is what happens when a child's emotional intensity has only sometimes been truly received, and so they escalate to the volume that, at least occasionally, got a genuine response. What to do instead? Witness the feeling before you move toward fixing it. When your child floods, hold still for 60 seconds. Just be there. Let them see that their emotional intensity does not alarm you, does not push you away, does not make you want to make it stop. That is really big. I can see how upset you are. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. You are not feeding the drama. You are doing something far more powerful, teaching your child's nervous system that it does not have to escalate to be received, that a smaller signal will also be met. Over time, over hundreds of these moments, the intensity naturally decreases. Not because you managed it down, because it no longer needs to be that loud. Pattern 5. The parent who needs back. This one requires the most honesty. And I'm asking you to meet it with real compassion for yourself because the parents who fall into this pattern almost never see it happening. Some parents, especially those who carry their own anxious attachment, their own fear of abandonment, their own unmet need for closeness, unconsciously look to their child for the emotional connection that was never fully offered elsewhere. It is not dramatic. It shows up quietly. Keeping the child close when the child is developmentally ready to separate. Feeling genuine distress when your child shows independence or chooses someone else. Sharing your worries, your loneliness, your emotional struggles in ways that place your child in the position of comforter. Researchers describe this as emotional hunger, a parent's unmet need for closeness that flows into the child relationship, rather than being met through adult connection. The child feels it. They begin tracking your emotional weather, they start managing your feelings before their own, and they learn, wordlessly but deeply, that love and responsibility are the same thing. That being needed is what keeps people close. That growing up becoming independent, needing you less means risking the loss of your warmth. So they stay anxious, they stay close, they stay in some part of themselves deliberately small. What to do instead? Get your own needs met by people who are built to hold adult pain. A therapist, a partner, friendships that go deep enough to carry real weight. Your need for closeness is legitimate. The wound beneath it is real. It deserves tending, just not by your child. Because the moment your child becomes the source of your emotional regulation, the relationship reverses. And here is what changes when you do the work to put it back the right way. Your child stops feeling responsible for your emotional state. They stop scanning your face for distress. They stop confusing love with duty. And for the first time, they get to just be the child. Held, not holding. What healing looks like. Here's the most important thing I can tell you today. Anxious attachment is not permanent. It is not who your child is. It is what their nervous system learned and nervous systems update. Especially in young children, they are remarkably open to new evidence. Research shows that infants begin forming expectations about caregiver reliability as early as 6 months of age, which means the repair can begin just as early. Every consistent return, every witnessed feeling, every calm face that says, "I believe in you," these are not small gestures. They are new data. They are rewriting the internal model, one interaction at a time. You do not need to have been perfect. You only need to begin. Show up reliably. Let their feelings be witnessed before they are fixed. Tolerate their independence with a calm, open face. Make your returns feel like homecomings. Say yes to the small reaches, so the desperate, clinging, "please don't leave" ones have less and less reason to appear. And if you recognized yourself in any of these patterns, if you felt the discomfort of understanding how your own anxiety or inconsistency has shaped what your child is living, meet that with kindness. You did not set out to do this. Love was never the missing variable. Awareness is, and now you have it. Your child's clinginess, their hypervigilance, their constant monitoring of your availability, it is not a character flaw. It is a strategy for holding on to closeness in a world where closeness has felt uncertain. Make closeness certain, reliably, repeatedly, without them having to fight for it. That is the whole work, and it starts today. If something in this episode sat with you, if you recognized a pattern, felt a shift, or saw your child differently, share it with a parent who is living this right now. Leave a comment telling me which pattern landed hardest for you, because when we talk about this honestly, we all get better at it. Until next time, be patient with yourself, be consistent with your children, and remember, they are not looking for a perfect parent, they are looking for a predictable one.